tonight's game. The first period of the second half with the jammers underway. Willie Ryan and Sherry Eric. Secondary jammers are Dolores Tucker and Terry Anabnit. We'll run down the lineups in just a moment. But we want to bring you all the action of the IRSL as the All-Star team takes on the Bay Bombers. Weston with a block on Sherry Eric. Weston with another block. Jan Vallow taking care of Willie Ryan. Weston and Eric still being blocked hard. 15 seconds of jam time remaining. Weston still rocking blocks on Sherry Eric. Willie Ryan finally goes down, courtesy of Jan Vallow. Tucker moves up, but she will not get by. There will be no points on the play. The lineup for the women's all-star team of the IRSL has Pam Johnson, number 21. Number 24 is Debbie Montez. Number 25, Terry Anabnit. Number 26, the veteran J.J. Burton. Number 27, B.J. Peterson. 28, Sherry Eric. And number 29 is Jan Vallow. Vallow and Eric are the co-captains in the regular season of the Midwest Pioneers. Jam getting underway with Francine Koshu breaking away from the back of the pack. J.J. Burton out for the All-Stars. Burton and Koshu. Koshu now going to be double-teamed as coming out on the jam is B.J. Peterson. Koshu trying to see if she can get by to get the lead and possibly call it off, but it's not to be as she goes down. Two All-Stars moving. Joan Weston breaks away, but she's about a half of a lap back. Blocking in the pack by Vallow and Eric. Big points for the All-Stars. 4 points for the All-Star team. 2 points for each jammer, B.J. Peterson and J.J. Burton. As we see on the replay, blocking in the pack, Sherry Eric, Jan Vallow, Debbie Montez tying up the Bay Bombers in there. 2 points each gives 4 for the All-Stars, 31-26 the lead. The Bay Bomber women's squad has number 31, Gail Gatlin. Number 32 is Debbie Williams. 34, Dolores Tucker. 35 is Francine Koshu. 36, Wilma Ryan. 43 is Mary Borman. Going a little bit off sequence there. I want to save the best for the last. Number 38, the Golden Girl, women's captain, Joan Weston. Joan very excited to be back here in Chicago skating. This time for the Bay Bombers. She at one time captained the Chicago Westerners many years ago. Sherry Eric trying her best to stay up. Does not. She goes down. Moving all alone on the jam, Dolores Tucker. Sherry Eric having some skate trouble, being assisted to the infield. Jan Vallow back. Action all over the track. Tucker getting her sights set on Jan Vallow. Now a double block being set up. B.J. Peterson drops back. Weston puts down Terry Anabnit. Here comes Joni. Joan going to give a whip to Dolores Tucker. Gets blocked by that double block. Weston comes up, tries to move out Vallow, but can't. 3 seconds left, 2 seconds, and there will be no score. Vallow and Peterson doing a good job of blocking back there. Vallow trying to turn over the apple cart on Dolores Tucker. Weston there to make sure no damage is done. No points scored on that jam. Makes it 31-28. Stands with 5.5 minutes left to go in the 5th skating period. First period of the second half. The women skate for 10 minutes, and then the men take over. Alternating skating periods. And the rules are very simply and briefly stated. There's a blocker at the middle of the pack, 2 of them to be exact. The pivot skaters wear the solid black helmets. That's Joan Weston and Jan Vallow at this very moment. And the pivot skaters, as I mentioned, their object is to clear the path for for the jammers with the striped helmets. And there's B.J. Peterson and Francine Cochou doing just that. Each team has 2 jammers, 1 out for each team on this particular jam. The idea and the whole point of the game is to get around the pack, and for each member of the opposing team they pass, they get credit for a point. Right now, there's hard blocking on the jam with Francine Cochou and B.J. Peterson. Each one trying to eliminate the other, so they'll be all alone on the jam. And sidestepping is Francine Cochou going down B.J. Peterson. Cochou moving on the back of the pack. Vallow puts her down. Francine hit once again by B.J. Peterson. Now there's blocking in the pack as Vallow moving on Weston, but Weston withstands the blocking. Tucker taken out high on the rail. She's passed for a point. Weston finally puts down B.J. Peterson, and Peterson wisely gets up and calls it off as Francine Cochou was coming back. And there you saw the game in a nutshell right there as B.J. Peterson passed Dolores Tucker for a point. Derby, one of the very few games where you're on offense and defense at the same time. As we saw there, B.J. Peterson having to call it off because Dolores Tucker was moving up into scoring position. 32-28, All-Stars over the Bay Bombers. 3.5 minutes left to go here in the 5th skating period. Pack will reform. Hugh Kendall, John Harmata doing a good job as our officials. Sherry Eric breaking away, doing a lot of jamming in this game here in Chicago. Sherry Eric with a big following here in the Midwest, especially in the Chicago area. She started with the Midwest Pioneers back in the 70s. Right now, here in the 80s, her main concern is Joan Weston at the back of the pack. Weston hammers her with a block, with another block. Jan Vallow tried to get back. All she did was hit Sherry Eric. Vallow has taken down a couple of skaters. The pack at a standstill, but Eric can't get by. Here's a double block. Vallow puts down Sherry Eric again. 15 seconds of jam time remaining. Weston tying up 3 of them. They're trying to get her by. 10 seconds. Finally, Eric gets by. Tucker gets by. And they're going to say 1 point for the All-Stars. And Joan Weston has to wonder, what can she do? Very questionable blocking back there by B.J. Peterson and Jan Vallow. And I think the replay will bear me out quite well. There you see Weston trying to hold off all 3 of them. 2 of them are blockers. 1 of them is the jammer. There's Eric going by for the point, and she wisely cut it off as here comes Dolores Tucker and would have gotten credit for 2 points had Eric not called it off. 33-28, minute and a half left to go. 5th skating period, first period of the 2nd half. Bombers will send out on this jam Willie Ryan and Francine Cochou, J.J. Burton and B.J. Peterson for the All-Stars. And just as that name implies, the All-Stars, they have an All-Star at every position. B.J. Peterson out, Francine Cochou, J.J. Burton, 2-on-1. Cochou has faced this many times in this game. Francine trying to get by to call it off. Instead, she goes down again. And 2 All-Stars move on the back of the pack. Weston back there to block. B.J. Peterson, J.J. Burton. Weston with a block on B.J. Another block. Weston doing the job. Cochou is going to break away from the pack. He's got a long way to go. Weston holding him off at the back. 2 jammers for the All-Stars. Weston holding him off there. B.J. Peterson held back with a block. Weston with another block. Here comes Cochou. Cochou on the inside. She's going to move for point. She gets by. Dan Vallow and calls it off. Great skating at both ends of the track by the Bay Bombers. Credit Francine Cochou with coming all the way around to pick up the point. And, of course, great blocking by Joan Weston on the 2 jammers, J.J. Burton and B.J. Peterson. We're going to watch the replay of this one. back of the pack, holding off 2 jammers. It's tough just dealing with 1. And here she is holding off 2 as Koshu goes by on the inside down low. Dolores Tucker moving out Jan Vallow for the Bay Bomber point to close out the 5th skating period with the scoreboard showing the All-Stars of the IRSL 33, the Bay Bombers from San Francisco 29. Right now, we'll pause along this special IRSL Madison Square Garden television network. Hello to Bay Bomber fans watching this telecast in San Francisco, San Jose, Reno, Nevada, Denver, Colorado, and Colorado Springs, Colorado. 6th skating period underway. Frankie Macedo and Larry Lewis breaking away quickly. They'll have 45 seconds of jam time remaining as they move on the back of the pack. Bill Hill at the back of the pack for the All-Stars. He hits Lewis with a block. Lewis sort of hemmed in between as Macedo hits him from behind. Hill from in front. They've got him sandwiched in there. Continuing to dish out the punishment. Finally putting down Larry Lewis and Macedo. He'll move alone here on the jam. Bill Hill moving on Frank Apodaca. Hill moves Apodaca out of the way for 1 point. There's blocking the pack, 2 points. Charlie Gibson putting Tim Patton up on the rail. And finally, Macedo calls it off after scoring 2 All-Star points. Makes the score 35-29 in favor of the All-Stars over the Bay Bombers. We'll watch the replay. Here comes Macedo moving up. Bill Hill moves Frank Apodaca out of the way, puts him down on the bank track. And there's Charlie Gibson putting Tim Patton up on the rail for the 2 points for Frank Macedo. Pack reforming, and we'll get underway. Bill Grohl with the pivot helmet for the Bay Bombers. Frank Apodaca breaking away with the Jammers helmet. Earl Pearson right behind him for the All-Stars. Pearson and Apodaca out on this jam. Secondary jammers are being hemmed up in the pack. Apodaca with a block. Pearson refuses to go down, and he moves back up on Frank Apodaca. 40 seconds of jam time remaining. 35 seconds as they met the back of the pack. JoJo Stafford a block on Apodaca. Bill Grohl at the back. Puts a block on Pearson. Pack strung out here as Apodaca, about a third of a lap back, being blocked by JoJo Stafford. JoJo hammers him again and finally puts him up on the rail, breaks one of the kickboards. Grohl is down. JoJo moving in on the pack. Pearson getting points all over and finally calls it off. 3 All-Star points picked up by Earl Pearson. 38-29 is the score. As we watch the replay, here's Pearson setting himself for a block on Apodaca, and Frank goes up and over the rail. And in fact, the next time he goes into that rail, going to be a little bit leery as he broke the kickboard that time, as JoJo Stafford with strong, hard blocks to get the points. 38-29. Favor of the All-Stars over the Bay Bombers. And with us, Mike's side, is Dave Lipschultz, the head man of the San Francisco Bay Bombers. Dave, good to have you aboard here in Chicago.
Thank you, David. Bombers on the road in Chicago. 84 all across the USA. Bay Bombers on the road with the IRSL action coming your way.
And we're certainly glad to be bringing it to you along the IRSL Madison Square Garden television network. Frankie Macedo out on the jam for the All-Stars. Bill Grohl moving on him, and Bill Hill right behind. Hill and Grohl, and Grohl goes down. Billy Hill will move all by himself. Bill Hill moving around. Bill Grohl will set himself at the back of the pack. This is one of the matchups that really makes the IRSL work. Bill Grohl and Bill Hill.
2 of the most powerful skaters in the league today. Bill Grohl, coach of the Bay Bombers. Bill Hill, a pioneer all-star for quite a while now, proving himself as he comes into his own. Look at him going into Bill Grohl.
They've skated coast to coast, and it's been hard just like this all over. block on a good knee block by Bill Grohl, one of the best. Hill coming out of the turn, another knee block. And Grohl puts it on the deck for good measure as the Jam runs out.
No score on that play. Bill Grohl showing why he's the Bay Bombers coach and defensive star.
We'll run down the roster of the All-Stars. But first, we're going to watch the replay of the excellent blocking by Billy Grohl. As Grohl with the knee block, as he does so well, dishing out the punishment on Bill Hill.
Look at the power of this block.
That, my friend, shows in the face of Bill Hill there. Down he goes for good measure.
Solid.
The men's lineup for the All-Stars. Number 23 is Joe Perez. Earl Pearson, number 24. Kerry Cook, number 25. Frank Macedo is number 26. 27 is Charlie Gibson. 28, JoJo Stafford. And 29, you saw him go down a moment ago, Bill Hill. 25 out on the jam is Kerry Cook along with Joe Perez. Now that's Earl Pearson. The All-Stars. Here comes Mike Gammon. He's closing up ground in a big hurry. Bill Grohl at the back of the pack. And here comes Gammon. They'll have to worry about him first. Cook moving up first. He's taken out by Grohl. Grohl doing the job at the back of the pack, working on two jammers. Always a tough assignment.
And here comes Mike Gammon.
Grohl moves on Hill. He puts him out. Here goes Gammon. He wants more. Here goes Grohl. Hill dominated.
Scoring those points, making space where there isn't space available.
Credit Bill Grohl that time at the back of the pack as he took care of the All-Star Jammers.
Chicago crowd likes this action, Dave. Look at the replay here.
We'll watch the replay. Perhaps you can see the holding that the officials have just called on Bill Grohl. Grohl very upset with the officials.
Gammon following in right behind Grohl. Here's where the call comes in. Yes, it's true. The officials did see it. They did call it rightfully so. Grohl did tie up Charlie Gibson and... Not quite sure who that was, Dave.
38-30. You gave credit for the 1 point. You can't deny the point he caught on Bill Hill. I don't think Bill will ever deny that one either.
Action too fast and furious for the cameras on the catch.
We'll run down the Bay Bomber lineup for you in just a moment. Bill Grohl will sit out a 1-minute penalty. Frank Apodaca wearing the pivot helmet. Frankie Macedo out for the All-Stars. Larry Lewis and hot pursuit. Lewis and Macedo, two of the best on the Bay track. They can eat up a lot of track in a very short amount of time. Lewis and Macedo. They'll try and eliminate each other. Lewis almost had him, but Macedo, the skillful skater that he is, stayed up on his feet. And they're at the back of the pack with 35 seconds of jam time remaining. Bill Hill back, and he lays a block on Larry Lewis. And again, they've got Lewis sandwiched between Macedo and Hill. Here comes Gammon moving up. He'll be a secondary jammer for the Bombers. He's moving up. I don't think anybody sees him. Hill gets hit by Macedo. Lewis gets by Hill. Gammon gets by Hill. And Lewis called it off. Gammon wanted him to go for more.
Jammers in the history of the game, and there are just a few of them. Mike Gammon, Larry Lewis, Frankie Macedo, Earl Pearson, great jammers. There they are, all up on the rail. Bill Hill, the referees, all in the middle between Mike Gammon and Frankie Macedo.
You need a calculator, man, of how many points they've scored over the years, the great skaters that we have out here.
Legends of roller. No taking away from this All-Star team. It is a power pack team. Joe Perez, Frankie Macedo, Earl Pearson. The list goes on and on. The All-Stars in the IRSL, they're here, they're on tour. We're in Chicago today. And boy, the skating is great.
When you consider that Joe Perez and Frankie Macedo will sit this one out as far as the jam, and yet you still have an Earl Pearson back there to jam, you know this team is loaded with talent.
The depth in the IRSL. Team by team, the Pioneers, the Dynamite, the Jolters, the Bay Bombers, great jammers, great skating, great excitement. Come on out to the game and see it for yourself live.
Gammon breaks away for the Bombers. Earl Pearson there. Bill Hill gets a whip from Charlie Gibson. And Hill gets gets another whip, but Bill Grohl's out after him. Grohl and Hill, the pivot skaters with all the rights of a jammer. They're out on this jam. Grohl with the knee block. Grohl puts him down. And Bill Grohl will move on the back of the pack. Frank Apodaca setting himself up as a blocker here. Bill Hill will move to the back of the pack to provide the blocking for the All-Stars. Grohl gets by him. Moves on the pack. He's got another point, maybe another for 3. His time ran out on that jam. 3 points. Bill Grohl getting by the third point. Just as time ran out. 38-35.
And this crowd is alive, Dave, here in Chicago. As our great friend Walt Harris would say, the legends of roller derby, we've got a barn burner tonight.
We certainly do, and unfortunately we have to break away for a moment as time has run out. It's expired here in the 6th skating period with the score, the All-Stars 38 and the Bay Bombers 35. We'll pause along this special IRSL Madison Square Garden Television Network. A big welcome from Chicago to all our fans tuning in each week here in the Midwest. Chicago, Kansas City, St. Louis, and Springfield, Missouri are just a few of the cities that are now part of this special IRSL Madison Square Garden Television Network. 7th skating period underway. The women out on the track. All 4 jammers out on the opening jam. Terry Navnet and Sherry Eric for the All-Stars. Dolores Tucker and Willie Ryan for the Bay Bombers.
All 4 out on the jam, Dave. Coming back to the rear of the pack where Jan Vallow and Joni Weston will be back there to block.
Both teams with both of their jammers out. Tucker takes the lead on the jam, moves on Vallow. Vallow ties her up. Now Eric has the lead. Eric being blocked by Joni Weston. Secondary jammers have dropped back. It's pretty much Sherry Eric right now. She's trying to move on Joan Weston. And Navnet and Ryan. Ryan goes down, and now they have 2 jammers coming up. And the jam was called off as Jan Vallow had moved 2 bombers up on the rail. 4 points for the All-Stars. And they quickly move out here to a 7-point advantage. And we are just 1 jam into the 7th skating period. You see a shot there of Francine Cochou, and there's Nick Scopus, the infield coach, who's done a great job molding this All-Star team together, taking the top talent from 3 teams and combining them to a very strong unit here in Chicago. Nick Scopus, infield coach of the Midwest Pioneers during the regular season, doing a great job here with the IRSL All-Stars. Pack reforming, pivot skaters at the head of the pack, Joan Weston, Jan Vallow. Jammers with the striped helmets try and work their way up from the back of the pack, and there's Francine Cochou, who did just that. She's out on the jam along with B.J. Peterson. They've had a battle all night long. Cochou and Peterson. Peterson takes over the lead. Here comes Cochou back. Cochou with a block. Peterson trying to stay up. Cochou trying to put her down. And picks her up on the rails. She gets her head hard, and down she goes. Francine Cochou all alone on the jam.
Francine Cochou is back in the league this season, and she is really proving all across the league this season that she is scoring points, and she can still do it.
Weston at the head of the pack, keeping the skaters in. B.J. Peterson has worked her way back. In fact, she's working on Cochou at this moment at the back of the pack. Cochou hit hard. Knee block by Peterson. Peterson with another hard block, puts her up on the rail. Here comes Francine again. Jam time running out. Peterson puts her down, and there's Tucker to put down Peterson. No points allowed. 42-35 it remains in favor of the All-Stars.
And here in Chicago, David, a few new skaters joining the league. A couple of them in their rookie games this evening. And they're really showing that the training program by the IRSL is really teaching them all the facets of being a professional bank track skater.
They have mixed in very well here. Skating for both the Bombers and the All-Star team.
One one of the standouts, of course, number 31. They call her Twiggy on the Bay Bombers. Her name is Gail Gatlin, and she is from the Chicago area. Also 32, Debbie Williams, another Chicago native. These two, in their first game with the Bay Bombers, really are showing that they've got some talent.
Always hard for a rookie to break into any lineup in any sport. They have done just that here in Chicago. Getting valuable time against the top skaters in the IRSL. Big way to break out. And two of the older veterans taken off the head of the pack, Weston and Vallow. Vallow went down and tried to take off on Francine Cochon, but it didn't work. Back on the jamming side of things, Wilma Ryan with Terry Abnett in pursuit. Weston working on DJ Peterson. Willie Ryan's caught the back of the pack. They've got 40 seconds of jam time remaining. And Abnett moving up. BJ Peterson is back there, but she's not on the jam. Weston with a block on an Abnett. Vallow with a block on Willie Ryan. Ryan puts down an Abnett. Weston trying to work a play here on Vallow, and getting by for the point is Willie Ryan, who cut it off wisely as an Abnett was moving back into the play.
Excellent assist by Joan Weston. Wilma Ryan had her hands cut, had a full load trying to get past Jan Vallow.
42-36 is the score, and we have an official's timeout here with 5:03 left to go in the third period, with the scoreboard showing the All-Stars 42, the Bay Bombers 36. Will Pauls along the special IRSL Madison Square Garden Television Network. We're back at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois. Timeout just about to end here. You see the All-Stars talking things over with their infield coach, Nick Skopas. And the Bay Bombers resting up on the rail. Joan Weston, Francine Cochon, Dolores Tucker, Willie Ryan. Dave Eddy along with Dave Lipschultz here trackside at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago.
A beautiful new building, Dave. A pleasure for the Bay Bombers and the IRSL to be here. Of course, the amphitheater now closed in Chicago, the home of roller derby for many, many years here. But we hope the pavilion is as happy as we are that we're here. Good crowd on hand. Skating excitement. And here comes Joan Weston out on the jam.
Joan skated many a game at the old Chicago amphitheater. She's out on the jam. Jan Vallow in pursuit. Vallow and Weston with the pivot helmets. They have all the rights of a jammer on this play. They move on the back of the pack. Sherry Eric back to block for the All-Stars. Weston tied up by Vallow, being hit by Eric, but Vallow being knocked back. Now Weston's starting to take control of things here. Don't push down Vallow. Great skating by Joan Weston. Joan's going to move on the back of the pack. Joan with a head of steam out of that turn. Gets by J.J. Burton. Gets by J.J. Burton. Still moving. Gets by Eric once again. That won't count as a point. Of course, they're in the same lap. Leaving them in her wake as she went by for 2 points. 42-38, All-Stars over the Bay Bombers.
Is Joni Weston. Farther back in the picture, Sherry Eric getting up now. Here's Frank Apodaca out to check on Joni. Incredible skater, a living legend. The legends of roller derby here on tour in '84.
Joan Weston being assisted up. Dolores Tucker there. 3 minutes left to go in the seventh skating period. It's been a wild one of Donnybrook, 42-38, All-Stars over the Bay Bombers. You know, roller derby is a sport you can take the whole family to, so whenever there's a live IRSL game in your area, make sure you bring Mom, Dad, and the kids. Great grandpa.
Dear Grandpa, dear Grandpa. Who wrote that copy, Dave? Excitement for the whole family.
You look around this pavilion, you definitely see families in attendance. Little children on up through adults and even into the older generation. Francine Cochon, Sherry Eric out on this jam. Cochon gives up a lot of height here, but definitely has a lot of track savvy.
Cochon down low takes her. Boy, can they skate. B.J. Peterson in front of Jan as he get by those two All-Star. Here's Jan Vallow and B.J. tying her up. Joan Weston here. Kosciusz's got her hip.
Weston trying to drop back. Kosciusz gets by. Kosciusz trying to squeeze by. I think Vallow's just going to lay on top of her. Slow and getting up. She's not going to get a point. Kosciusz gets a knee from B.J. Peterson. There's another Donnybrook going on. There's
Look out.
Dolores Tucker being hammered by Jan Vallow. I know I use that term a lot, but it's definitely apropos here. 1 point for the Bombers, but they paid the price. Tucker is down and Kosciusz is down. 42-39. Coming up on 1 minute left to go in the 7th skating period. A special thank you to everyone at the UIC Pavilion staff for their cooperation in putting on today's game. To everyone here at the University of Illinois Chicago campus. Beautiful location, great place to skate. We have roller derby live here in Chicago. You fans have the opportunity to see it all across the IRSL Madison Square Garden television network. Dave Eddy with Dave Lipschultz. Happy to bring it. Joan Weston will go out. Half a minute left to go. J.J. Burton breaks away. She's about a third of a lap back. Here comes Joni. 20 seconds left. Joni moving on. B.J. Peterson. One skater is down in Nabnet. Another skater is down in the pack. Weston has 2 points. Moving on B.J. Peterson. 5 seconds. Joni up there. Joni trying to squeeze by. She dies. Joan Weston, as the buzzer goes off, gets another point for the Bay Bombers. Give her 3 points.
Time running out for the women here, Dave. Joan Weston finishing it up in grand style.
You'll get to see the replay coming up here as Joan Weston tied it up at 42. Going by here as time was running out, trying to get by B.J. Peterson. There's about a half a second left. She put her down and got the point. 42 all as time has run out in the 7th skating period. We're going to pause along this special IRSL Madison Square Garden television network. A special hello to the fans on the Eastern Seaboard watching us over the Madison Square Garden television network. Dave Eddy trackside with the 8th and final skating period of regulation play. The Bay Bombers and the All-Stars in Chicago. They're tied at 42. Mike Gammon out on the jam for the Bay Bombers. Joe Perez starting to eat up ground behind him for the All-Stars. Gammon moving on the back of the pack. JoJo Stafford, coach of the Midwest Pioneers in the regular season, back to block. Bill Grohl back to take on Joe Perez. He hammers Perez with a block. Hammers him with another block. Perez taking up high on the rail. Here comes Grohl moving on the pack. He moves out JoJo Stafford. Gammon gets by and cuts it off. 1 point Bay Bombers. They take the lead. It's been an uphill battle for the Bombers all the way. They have finally overtaken the All-Stars. As we see the replay, we'll see the point that puts the Bombers into the lead. Bill Grohl after taking Joe Perez high on the rail takes out JoJo Stafford. Mike Gammon getting the point, cutting it off very quickly. Action fast and furious here on the bank track. You know, roller derby is truly a very simple game. But if you want to learn the finer points and you're seeing skating at its finest tonight, why not order a free set of the printed rules? Just send a self-addressed stamped envelope to IRSL Rules, Post Office Box 7979, San Francisco, California, 94120. Two jammers out for the All-Stars. Macedo and Pearson. Nobody able to break away for the Bombers here. Double-barrel trouble for the Bombers as the All-Stars have 2 jammers out and Bill Grohl to work at the back of the pack. Block on Macedo. Block on Macedo again. Block on Pearson. Grohl holding him off in the back of the pack. Great job by Bill Grohl. He's by 1. Another one. Grohl on Pearson. Grohl on Macedo. Grohl on Pearson again. He puts down Pearson. Cito there. 15 seconds of jam time remaining. Bill Grohl eliminated one skater. Jump blocked by Larry Lewis. And then he hammers Cito again down. And sort of hovers over him for good measure. The all-star threat squashed by Bill Grohl and Larry Lewis. There you see the two jammers on the replay. Bill Grohl doing a great job. He took down Earl Pearson. Pearson never did get back into the jamming situation. And now they just have Cito to work on.
Nick Scopitz, a few words with Frankie Cito. Great skaters. Nick Scopitz in his heyday, one of the greatest jammers ever to lace up those skates.
Pack will reform. Dave Lipschultz joining us Mike's side. That's the other voice you hear. This is Dave Eddy trackside with the IRSL All-Star team against the Bay Bombers in Chicago. 6.5 minutes left to go. Bay Bombers cling to a one-point lead. Mike Gammon out on the jam.
Right behind him, Joe Perez. And look at Joe skate.
Perez and Gammon moving up on the back of the pack. They always have plenty of jam time remaining. 45 seconds. Perez moving up. He's caught up in the pack. Gammon comes back and scores. Cuts it off.
Gammon steals it.
We'll wait for the official scores as Perez did get some points. 2 points for Joe Perez, and then he got tied up in the pack. Mike Gammon got 4. As we see a replay, here's Perez, but he gets caught up in the middle of the pack. They had the blocking, but he got caught up. Here comes Gammon from the right side of your screen, across to the left quickly for 4 points for the Bay Bombers. Bombers lead 47-44. There's a crowd shot of some of the fans here in Chicago at the UIC Pavilion.
And David, for fans that may not know, Charlie Buckets Gibson, number 27 at the head of the pack there, and wearing number 28 tonight from the Midwest Pioneers, JoJo Stafford. They were both in the movie Rollerball.
Watching the movie the other night was Kung Fu movie of some kind, and the gentleman just going out on the jam was in it.
Frankie Cito. He had a great time in the Orient filming that movie, he told me.
Glenn Miller was in it, Midwestern Swing. Saw their names, couldn't believe it. People I know. And there's Cito doing what he does best, scoring points. Earl Pearson right behind him. Let's pick up a puzzle. 8 points, 4 leads. And quickly the All-Stars evaporate the Bomber lead and make it a 52-47 score.
Big scoring play.
We talk about the Orient, we talk about the Midwest. Games are coming up in the near future. Many of the areas where roller derby is seen on television, like the Italian Channel 5 cable. Just like today's game here in Chicago, you can see a live game in your area. To receive free advance information on the next live IRSL game in your city, or to write to your favorite skaters, simply drop a card or a letter to IRSL mailing list. Post Office Box 7979, San Francisco, California, 94120.
The skaters really enjoy getting that mail, Dave. And it's amazing where it comes from, all over the world.
Had to translate an Italian letter from Bill Grohl just the other day. First roller derby seen on Italian Channel 5. Larry Lewis breaks away. Gary Cook breaking away for the All-Stars. He skated in just a few games, and yet he is closing up a lot of ground here. He could be a force to be reckoned with in the future of the IRSL.
Definitely talent on the horizon, Dave.
Apodaca trying to move out JoJo Stafford.
Larry Lewis
Cook taking over the rail. Lewis to move on JoJo Stafford. Mike Gammon moving up Joe Perez.
Larry Lewis is ready. Watch that.
Lewis gets by JoJo. And Gammon goes down low to get a point, and it's called off. 2 points for the Bay Bombers. Again, great skating by Gammon and Lewis. makes the score 52-49. As we'll see the replay here. Tipsy doodle skating. They've been doing it all night long. The victim has been JoJo Stafford. As JoJo gets past there, Lewis stayed on, looked back, saw that Gammon would get by from the side, and called it off.
2.5 minutes left in the game. We're both looking at that clock, wondering what's going to happen.
Referees getting the pack reformed. They've done a great job. Hugh Kendall, John Hamada.
There's little Francine Koshu leading the crowd. Crowd coming to life. Fans on their feet.
The Bombers and the All-Stars would certainly like to thank the folks at the skate shop at 330 East St. Charles Road in Villa Park, Illinois, for keeping them rolling. Breaking out is Charlie Gibson. Frank Apodaca. Gibson is a blocker on this play. Breaking away is Earl Pearson. Apodaca losing ground momentarily is now moving on. Bombers trail by 3. A minute 45 left to go. Earl Pearson moving on the back of the pack. Bill Grohl there to meet him, and he calls it off. Bombers had a secondary jammer coming up, and Pearson, seeing that he was outnumbered 2-1 and a 3-point lead with a minute and a half left, wisely cut it off. The Bombers will try and reform the pack here. If we get less than a minute and the jam gets underway, it can and will go the full 60 seconds. A special thank you to our director, Mr. Jim Reisinger, for the excellent coverage of today's action here in Chicago. Great camera shots, but we can't pick up all the action, folks. You have to see it live.
And this crowd's alive here in Chicago at the UIC Pavilion.
Less than a minute left to go. Mike Gammon breaks away. It will go the full 60 seconds.
This should be the final play of the game, and Mike Gammon is after the Bay Bombers.
Gammon moving very quickly. He'll have about 40 seconds of jam time remaining when he hits the back of the pack. Bombers trail by 3. JoJo Stafford back to block. Macedo breaks away.
The All-Stars
Pull away.
pull away.
Pull away by the All-Stars. 35 seconds of jam time remaining. Can Gammon catch up? Apodaca's caught. JoJo Stafford takes it down. That's 1 point for the Bombers. Apodaca
Capitalize on Bill Hill.
up downhill, a great block. They're still moving. There's time left. Pearson taken down. And 3 points. Larry Lewis to lead the charge here. A double block by Gammon by a grand slam. A grand slam for Mike Gammon.
Incredible skating. Mike Gammon doing it.
Time has run out. A great way to end it. Mike Gammon with a grand slam to win it for the Bay Bombers. 54-52 brings this crowd to their feet at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago.
The All-Stars, talented as they were, they broke out. A great pull away underway, but the Bay Bombers, they came up and they broke it up. Mike Gammon came through, scored those points. The Bay Bombers win.
A great team effort as you see the replay. Great blocking by all the Bombers. Jim Patton took out JoJo Stafford. Apodaca took one down. They're still moving. Right now the Bombers are 1 down. That tied it up at 52. And here's Larry Lewis with the block to get Gammon the final 2 points, a grand slam, and a 2-point win for the Bay Bombers over the All-Stars.
A great game here in Chicago, Dave Eddy. Our pleasure bringing it to you along this special network.
The final scoreboard shows 54-52. Stick around for some post-game interviews. For Dave Lipschultz, this is Dave Eddy on the IRSL Madison Square Garden Television Network. 54-52, Bombers over the All-Stars. For the All-Stars, 52. In Chicago, this is Dave Eddy with the victorious Bay Bombers, a 54-52 winner, coming on a grand slam at the end of the game by Mike Gammon, and the final 2 points set up on a great block by Larry Lewis. Larry is with me here trackside. Great block. He took out 2 skaters, and those are the final 2 points that got the victory for the Bombers.
Yeah. Mike was pushing me, really. I don't know if anyone noticed that or not, but he was pushing me from behind. I was listening to the announcer, and he said like 5, 8, 7 seconds, and I said, whoa. Have to do something, and the only thing I can do was jump.
Well, we'll give the fans a chance here. We're going to watch the replay and have you and Mike describe it. And we're going to be picking up the videotape as Bill Grohl sets the block to give you the point to tie it up here, as the All-Stars were doing a pull away, and the Bombers got 3 points there, and then here comes the block.
Yeah, well, Mike was behind me here. I guess it didn't show it here, but Mike was pushing me early on, and we had nothing else to do but just go for it.
There was the double block, took out 2 men. Gammon gets by for 5 points, a grand slam to win it. Great feeling, huh, Mike?
Terrific. You love them when you get them. Sometimes they don't work, though. We just were running out of time. Like Larry says, it was down to that or something, and that was what it was. Just go for it. Go ahead.
Bay Bombers victorious, and Bill Grohl, the coach and general manager, back in Chicago, sporting that Chicago Cubs hat, and victorious here tonight.
Hey, I'll tell you something. I'll be wearing a Bomber hat. We had a Bomber hat. No kidding aside. You know, Larry mentioned about Mike pushing him. I got news for you. Larry was pushing me, and I was pushing somebody else. I'm going to give the All-Stars a lot of credit. They gave us a way to go. I don't know if everybody realized at the beginning of that period, there was another big play by these 2 guys. They picked up a bunch. If you'll notice, the All-Stars come right back. Power, man. Boom. 8 points before you could turn around. Now, don't get me wrong. These All-Star games, sometimes we pull, not sometimes not. They gave us every last bit of energy we had left. We got it. And, of course, the finale, I got the tying point. But right here, Larry Lewis and Mike Gammon, what can you say? These guys are not just All-Stars. These guys are superstars. And they make my job easy. Believe me, folks, they do.
Bill Grohl, the coach and general manager of the Bay Bombers, Larry Lewis, Mike Gammon, all big stars in that final jam that win it for the Bombers, 54-52 in Chicago. For Dave Lipschultz, the commissioner of the IRSL, this is Dave Eddy on the IRSL Madison Square Garden Television Network. Final score, 54-52, Bay Bombers over the All-Stars. So long from Chicago.